substitution. So when we're given an X and a Y or an A and a B or any letters, what they can do is they can give us values for those letters. So what we're doing with values for that letters is when given values for letters, we substitute them in for the letter inside a bracket. So make sure when you're substituting in, you're subbing inside a bracket. And when we do this, we then use BIMDAS to simplify to find one value. So the question that we're going to look at is this example in red here. It says if x equals 2 and y equals 4, find the value of 2x minus 6y. And then part 2 is find the value of 3x squared minus 2xy. So we're going to try both of these questions then. So for this first question, in for x is I'm going to write my 2 first, and then in for x inside a bracket, I replace 2 because x is 2. Minus 6, and in for y goes 4 because I know y is being replaced with number 4. Okay, when I'm using my BIMDAS, I know that brackets has to come first. So anything with brackets means that I have to multiply it out. So the B stands for brackets, but that's anything inside a bracket. So if it was inside the bracket, if there was a 2 and a plus 1 or something, I would add that together inside the bracket. So there's nothing inside the bracket I have to deal with for B. I represents indices. That just means the little powers at the top. There's no powers in this question here. M means multiplication, and we know from other bits of algebra that when we have brackets together, they multiply. So now I'm at the M stage, and I'm going to multiply 2 2's to give me 4 and minus 24. Okay, so I've done my multiplying. I've no division. Addition and subtraction goes together. So I start on the left and I work my way across. So 4 take away 24. My answer is going to be minus 20. Okay, so if you move to the second question then, I write my 3 first of all because that's a number, that's fine. In for my x, I'm going to put in the number 2 because that's what x represents. I keep my little power, my indices. I write my 2. In for my x goes 2. And in for my y goes 4. And again, everything goes in inside a bracket. So again, I'm going to now use BIMDAS to multiply this out. B represents anything inside a bracket that needs to be worked with. Nothing inside a bracket needs it to work here. They're all single numbers, so that's absolutely fine. Indices is next. That's the little power. So that means that I have to deal with this power up here. So if I have to deal with that power, then that means that I keep my 3. The power is just stuck to the 2 there. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. And I keep the rest the same. Okay, and I've dealt with my indices. The next is multiplication. I know brackets mean multiply. So that's going to give me 3 4s are going to give me 12 minus 2 by 2 by 4. So when you're working with something like this, you multiply 2 by 2, it gives me 4. And then I multiply my answer of 4 by the next number, which is 4. So my answer there is 2 by 2 gives me 4. 4 by 4 gives me 16. So my answer there comes out to be, with my adding and subtracting, start on the left, work your way across. 12 take away 16 gives me minus 4. Okay, the next questions that we're looking at then, if I move that up a little bit, is this question here. Now they get a little bit trickier when it comes to adding in minuses. So for instance, if I look at this question, it says x here equals minus 1. And minus 1 and y is minus 3. Makes it a little bit trickier with the minuses. So because now we have to add in the signs, the multiplying of signs. So let's go and continue the way that we were looking. For this first question, I'm going to write my 3 first of all. In for my x goes negative 1. I keep my minus 2, and in for my y goes negative 3. My plus is next. In for my x goes minus 1, and in for my y goes minus 3. Okay, and there's my whole sum written out. Right, going back to BIMDAS then, so if I just write BIMDAS down here, the first thing is B for brackets. Nothing inside the brackets needs to be dealt with, so that's done. I is indices, there's no powers here, so that's sorted. M then represents multiplication, so we're going to work with multiplication. So if I'm multiplying 3 by minus 1, we learned from another video that we did on brackets, that we did on multiplying our brackets, that a plus by a minus always wins. So that will be a minus, and 3 1s are 3. Okay, if I'm looking at the next 2 bits then, these 2 bits here, I'm multiplying those 2. Now that is a negative 2. You are minusing 2 there, but it is a negative 2 and a negative 3. So a negative 2 and a negative 3, a minus and a minus. If I'm able to couple them up together, the minuses, I make it a plus. And 2 by 3 gives me 6. So now I have a plus 6. And my last two that I need to multiply out are these two together. So I have a plus and a minus and a minus, and they are all multiplying together. So if I have a plus, a minus, and minus, as long as I'm able to couple up my minuses, then that means my answer will be a plus. And then I multiply the numbers. 1 by 3 gives me 3. So my answer here, after I've done my multiplication, I now do my division. No division here, and then I finish with my addition and subtraction. So I start on the left and I work my way across. So minus 3 add on 6 gives me 3, plus another 3 gives me 6. So my answer there is 6. Last question then for this one. I have 2. Open up my bracket, in goes my x of minus 1 to the power of 2, minus 3. In for my y is minus 3, and that's to the power of 2. I'm going to just draw a little line going down through this so that we know that none of them are connected. Okay, next thing then, let's go through my BIMDAS again, this bit down here. So B for brackets, anything inside the brackets needed to be added, subtracted? No, so brackets is fine. I is for indices, that's a power. So I now need to work with the powers. So the 2 remains the same, it is no power. The minus 3 over here remains the same because it is no power. However, I need to find what that and what that is. Now, minus 1 to the power of 2, that just means minus 1 twice. So that means that I have 2 minuses that will couple up, they'll give me a plus. And I have a 1 times 1 gives me 1. So that is going to be 1. I haven't dealt with the brackets yet, I've just dealt with the power. The minus 3 to the power of 2, this bit here, all that means is minus 3 twice. Okay, and I know my minus and my minus will couple up to give me a plus, and 3 3s are 9. So in here, in my bracket, goes a plus 9, because again, I haven't dealt with the bracket, I've just dealt with the power. Okay, I've done my indices for my BIMDAS. I now need to go into my multiplication. So multiplication is my brackets part. So 2 by 1 is going to give me 2. Minus and a plus, the minus will win. And 3 9s are 27. Okay, so I've dealt with multiplication. There is no division. I'm now looking at addition and subtraction. So I start on the left and I work my way across. So I start with 2, I subtract 27, and that equals to minus 25. So there are my answers, is 6 and minus